I don't think anybody's going to win again until Michael retires. I just don't, way it goes.
In 1997, the Miami Heat stormed into the playoffs with a 61-21 record, the best defense in the league, and a lineup loaded with stars: Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway, Jamal Mashburn, and Dan Majel. Many believed they finally had what it took to challenge the Chicago Bulls dynasty. But reality hit hard. Michael Jordan and the Bulls dismantled those dreams in just 5 games, 4-1, doing it with an ease that left the basketball world stunned. After that defeat, Hall of Fame coach Pat Riley, known for molding the Showtime Lakers into champions, made a statement that echoed across the NBA. "I don't think anybody's going to win again until Michael retires." It wasn't bitterness, it was truth. Riley wasn't just talking about a great player. He was describing an unbreakable barrier, a living roadblock to anyone else's championship hopes. Through the eyes of a master strategist, Jordan wasn't simply dominant, he was the force that closed the door on the rest of the league. And coming from Pat Riley, a man who never gave out praise easily, that said everything, known for his icy stare, slicked back hair, and obsession with perfection, Pat Riley embodied discipline and strategy like few others in NBA history. He built the Showtime Lakers into an offensive juggernaut, transformed the New York Knicks into a defensive powerhouse in the early 90s, and later crafted the no-nonsense, hard-nosed culture of the Miami Heat. For a man so consumed by toughness and execution to single out Michael Jordan the way he did says everything. Riley once stated, "If I had to choose one player to take the final shot to save a game, I'd choose Michael Jordan." And this came from someone who coached icons like Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, and Patrick Ewing. That wasn't just a compliment, it was a declaration. Riley understood greatness when he saw it, and his respect for Jordan wasn't built from admiration at a distance. It was earned through direct combat, forged in the heat of those brutal Knicks-Bulls battles of the early 90s. Riley prepared his players for all-out war against Chicago. Greg Anthony, one of the guards on those Knicks teams, remembered how Riley drilled a singular mindset into them: they would never bow to Jordan. He demanded they see the Bulls not as invincible icons but as equals to be challenged. "We never feared him," Anthony said, "but Riley made sure we knew what we were up against." And despite that defiance, one truth always remained: Michael Jordan was the final obstacle, the immovable force standing between Riley's teams and a championship. That's what makes Riley's words after the 1997 series so powerful. He wasn't speaking as a commentator or a fan. He was speaking as a battle-tested competitor, a tactical genius who had spent years trying to dismantle dynasties. If anyone could spot flaws in an opponent, it was Pat Riley. But when it came to Jordan, even he had to concede, there were no weaknesses to exploit. You could scheme, prepare, and throw every defender, every trick in the playbook at him, and he'd still find a way to win. To Riley, Jordan wasn't just another opponent. He was the unbreakable standard by which every team's limits were exposed. He became the standard by which every other player, team, and coach was measured. A force so dominant that entire franchises reshaped their strategies just to find a way past him. Every game plan, every defensive scheme, every ounce of mental preparation revolved around one man, Michael Jordan. That kind of gravitational pull, where the whole league orbits around a single player, has never been seen before or since. So when Pat Riley said, "I don't think anybody's going to win again until Michael retires," he wasn't exaggerating, he was simply acknowledging reality. It was the truth he'd been forced to face year after year. When Jordan was locked in, healthy, and fully prepared, there was no strategy on earth that could stop him. He was the invisible barrier of an entire generation, the living gatekeeper of greatness. Statistics alone can't express how suffocating his dominance was. His mere presence in the league was enough to close the door on everyone else's championship hopes. From 1991 to 1998, when Jordan was fully committed and had a complete off-season to prepare, the Bulls captured 6 championships in 8 years. The only 2 seasons they didn't, Jordan wasn't there. He was off chasing another dream, gripping a baseball bat instead of a basketball. In 1995, Jordan made his return late in the season, still carrying what many called a baseball body and clearly shaking off the rust. During that brief window, the Houston Rockets seized their moment, capturing back-to-back titles while the basketball world held its breath. But once Jordan returned with a full off-season to rebuild, the NBA felt the impact instantly. The door slammed shut again. The 1996 Bulls stormed through the league, setting a then-record 72-10 regular season mark before cruising through the playoffs to begin another three-peat. It was as if Jordan was sending a message to the entire basketball world. The throne was never vacant. His absence was merely a loan. And it's not like the competition of the 90s was weak. Far from it. Pat Riley's New York Knicks were a gritty, defensive powerhouse built on toughness and discipline. The Indiana Pacers, under Larry Bird, had Reggie Miller's lethal shooting and one of the most balanced rosters in the East. Meanwhile, the Orlando Magic featured a young Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway, a dynamic duo many believed would define the next era. Yet despite their strength, all these teams shared one common problem. As long as Michael Jordan was around, their championship dreams had an expiration date. The 1997 Miami Heat, led by Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway, boasted the league's top-ranked defense and a deep, disciplined roster. Yet even they couldn't break through. Like so many others, they were strong, organized, and confident, until they ran into Michael Jordan. Then, they became just another chapter in his story. What made Jordan's dominance so different was that it wasn't only physical or statistical, it was psychological. Teams knew that even if they played their absolute best, Jordan would simply elevate higher. Opponents lost sleep before facing him, and defenders quickly realized that no matter how perfectly they followed their coach's plan, Jordan would find a way to destroy it. He didn't just beat teams, he dismantled their belief that he could be beaten. That's what separates Jordan's era from the rest. In the 80s, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird shared the spotlight, trading championships between the Lakers and Celtics while Detroit squeezed in a couple of titles. In the 2000s, Kobe and Shaq reigned, but the Spurs still managed to carve out 4 championships of their own. Jordan's time was different. When he was fully locked in, there was no sharing the throne. His era didn't have rivals, it had survivors. But for Michael Jordan, number 23 became a global symbol, a statement of excellence, dominance, and relentless pursuit of greatness. It wasn't just stitched onto his jersey, it was etched into the psychology of sports itself. Kids didn't just wear 23 because it looked good. They wore it because it meant something. It meant chasing perfection, refusing mediocrity, and believing that greatness wasn't just possible, it was expected. Even decades later, 23 remains sacred ground. From LeBron James to countless athletes across every sport, wearing that number is like carrying a torch, a silent acknowledgement of the standard Jordan set. When people see 23, they don't think a number, they think the greatest. That's how deep Jordan's impact runs. He didn't just redefine basketball. He redefined what greatness looks like, sounds like, and even feels like. That greatness isn't just measured in stats or rings, it's measured in legacy. By symbolically retiring 23, Riley was sending a message to every player who walked through the Heat locker room. There are levels to greatness, and Jordan exists on a level above. It was a gesture of reverence, not weakness. A recognition that some figures reshaped the very DNA of a sport. Jordan's 23 wasn't merely a number, it was a mindset. It represented obsession, sacrifice, and the refusal to accept anything less than victory. Every time a young player tapes up their wrists and dreams of being the next, they are really chasing 23, not the digits, but the discipline behind them. In the end, that's what made Pat Riley's act so powerful. It wasn't about worshipping the past, it was about preserving a truth. That before LeBron, before Kobe, before anyone else, there was Michael Jordan, the man who made 23 more than a number. He made it immortal. LeBron included. The shadow of Michael Jordan still loomed over the game so intensely that wearing the number 23 was to invite comparison with a standard no one, not even the greatest stars of the modern era, has ever surpassed. Jordan remained the ultimate weapon in the eyes of champions. Pat Riley's words about him weren't isolated. They echoed what other legends of the game, men who knew what it meant to dominate, had long acknowledged. Jordan possessed something no other player ever had, what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar once described as the greatest weapon in the history of the game. Think about the weight of that statement. Kareem isn't just another retired player giving an opinion. He's the NBA's all-time leader in MVP awards with 6, a 6-time champion, and for nearly 4 decades, the league's all-time leading scorer. Yet even with that towering resume, Kareem pointed to Jordan as the one who held the ultimate advantage, a weapon that fused supreme athleticism, flawless fundamentals, and, above all, an unrelenting competitive fire. That weapon wasn't just Jordan's scoring ability, it was his will, his killer instinct, the drive that made him not only want to beat you, but to break you. Leave no doubt that you could never stand on his level. Riley recognized it from the sidelines. Kareem saw it from his vantage point as a contemporary and a competitor. And every player of the 1990s felt it in real time. Jordan didn't just possess talent. He wielded a psychological arsenal that bent the league to his will. That's what separated Michael Jordan from everyone else. Other legends had their gifts, their specialties, their eras of dominance. Magic Johnson was the ultimate floor general. Larry Bird was the coldest marksman. Kobe Bryant mirrored Jordan's moves and mentality with precision. LeBron James embodies longevity and versatility like no one before him. But none of them inspired Hall of Fame coaches and fellow legends to speak as though the entire league was powerless in their presence. No one ever said, "You can't win until LeBron retires." No one ever declared that Kobe's existence alone blocked championships. That kind of reverence, that sense of inevitability, was reserved for one man, Michael Jordan. When Kareem described Jordan's game as the ultimate weapon, he was affirming what Riley and so many others already knew, that Jordan changed the very terms of competition itself. You weren't just playing against a man, you were playing against inevitability. His presence made victory feel impossible. His preparation made excuses irrelevant. And his execution left opponents hopeless. For Pat Riley, for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and for an entire generation of coaches and players, Michael Jordan wasn't simply the best player, he was the ultimate weapon, the singular force of nature that defined the 1990s and slammed shut the door on everyone else's dreams of greatness. To fully grasp the weight of Pat Riley's words about Michael Jordan, you first have to understand the man behind them. Riley wasn't just another coach. He was the architect of basketball empires, a strategist who reshaped the culture of every franchise he touched. From the glitz and glamour of Los Angeles to the grit and grind of New York, and finally, the relentless, no-excuses culture of Miami, Riley built his philosophy around a single, unshakable principle. Nothing is given, everything is earned.